Okay, I'd like to start out by showing the breadboard. Breadboard is for making prototype circuits. You plug your parts into it and make temporary connections so you can test it. If you like it, if it works correctly, you'll go to a printed circuit board, such as this one that I can show. This is one that I drew up last semester. It's for one of our other classes. This is a interesting circuit. It's got a connector on the side. It's got a power supply module. Of course, it's got the microcontroller and a handful of other parts. So I made this with Easy EDA, and it looks really good. But today we're looking at the proto board. So I made some marks on here to help understand it, but let me just flip it over, which is easier to show you that way. So this one's no good, but you can see the connections inside. So they have these metal clips that hold the wires when you put them into the board. These are gone because it kind of fell apart. But you can see this is the gap down the center, and the connections go away from the gap. There are no connections this way unless you make them. However, on these long red and blue lines, there is a long connection from one end to the other. So that's normally where power is connected. So you can pick off the power and feed it into your circuit. Some of these boards have a break in the middle. So it's probably a good idea to check continuity from side to side to make sure whether it's a continuous strip or if it's got a break in the middle. Okay, so having said that, the first thing that I did was I got my wire stripper. This is the Harbor Freight, very inexpensive, like $3, I think, maybe $4. It's got a setting on it where you can select the correct gauge of wire. So on this one, I have it on 24, a 24 gauge solid wire. And just like to show you how I strip the wire, I pre-cut it to about 3 inches, and you just set it to 24 right there. I like to put my finger on this tab so it doesn't come up. Get about 1/4 of an inch there, close it, and just strip it like that. So it actually turned out to be a pretty good stripping tool. Wasn't sure, it's such a low price, but it is good. It doesn't damage the conductor when you strip the wire. That's very important because we can't have damaged conductors. I would like to zoom in on that, but I don't think I can go any further than that. So anyway, it would be a good idea to strip some wires ahead of time. Here is it's a VHS case, of course, with the breadboard stuck to the top. What I did was I took the power supply and I used some of that blue painter's tape to stand it up so it's not flopping around. This is the 2-wire voltmeter. I also attached that with some of that painter's tape. And right here, let me pull these out and I'll explain what I'm doing there. The yellow wire is going to be our positive voltage. So I plug that into the red rail here. The white wire is the ground. That's in the blue. So I've got plus and ground. On the 2-wire voltmeter, red is positive. So what I did was I soldered it onto a 2-pin header, which you can see here. Okay, I did not do that on all the kits. I should have, but I did not. So you can either do that yourself or you can strip some of this wire and plug it into the breadboard. So what I'm going to do is put a jumper from plus to plus. The red wire goes from positive to the positive connection on the voltmeter. The green wire is going to go to the negative connection, like so. So my plan originally with this voltmeter was to let you use it to sample voltages, but then I realized that these 2-wire voltmeters get their power from the same connection. So that's not going to work. Instead, we can use this to show the voltage coming out of this USB voltage inverter. I did order another voltmeter. It's a 3-wire device, so we'll upgrade the kit here in the next week or so. So what I did was I bought one of these USB power banks, and I have a cable, so I'm going to plug that in, power up my inverter, and you can see it's already set to 12. I was working with it yesterday. I have one of these little screwdrivers with the small tips on it because the adjustment screw is very small. So you can see that we can go down, probably down to maybe 7 or so, 6. I don't know how far we can go, 4.75. Or we can go up to, this LED meter is, I think it's rated for 30 volts. So we could go up to 24 or whatever we need. I'm going to bring it back down to 12. It's pretty bright. Didn't realize it'd be so bright. Okay, so that's showing that I have 12 volts to work with. In the kit, in this first circuit that we're going to build, looks like that. So we have 3 resistors and an LED. So let's talk about the LED first. On the LED, you'll notice that there's a long wire and a short wire. The long wire is the positive wire. The positive wire on this diagram is on the top side. So this is plus and minus. So we want the short wire going towards the ground, okay? So what I'm going to do, let me try to focus. Well, my power bank shut down. It happens a lot. It doesn't have enough of a load, so it kind of just shuts down. So I'm going to have to do something different. Let me keep going. So I'm going to take the short wire, which is my ground, and I'm going to plug it into this blue rail on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to bend that out a little bit like that. I'll plug the LED in down there. Okay, so you can see that. It's hard to see. There we go. And keep in mind that these connections go away. So that's 23. So that row there is the positive side of the LED. So let me keep going. Here's some resistors. Now, we're not supposed to pull them out of the tape because it leaves like a glue residue on the resistor. Instead, we're supposed to cut them out. So what I'll do is I'll get my stripping tool. I need 3 of them, and I'll just cut out 3 of them. Okay, I'll flip it over and I'll cut the other side. All right, so now I've got 3 resistors, and I'm gonna bend the legs down like so. All right, it doesn't matter which way they go in because they are not polarized. I just have to connect it to the right row on the breadboard. So let's do that. I think I'll go across this way. All right, so you can see the bottom connection here. Let me focus. You can see the bottom connection right here. It's in that same column, I guess we'll call it, and it goes across to this side. So the next one, I'm going to come out this way, and then I'll come up to the plus. Then I need to put a jumper from the negative here to this negative on the bottom. So let me do that. Then I'll zoom in and show you what I'm doing. All right. I think I'll go to the right. Okay, there's that. And let's go up to the red. Okay. So the biggest concern is like all this exposed metal on these parts. If they touch the wrong thing, they'll short out. So I have to be a little careful what I'm doing here. So let's follow this circuit. I come up off the positive side of the LED through this R3, I think it was. I go there, I come over here to R2, I go up here, and I go up to positive. So you can see the connections. And you can pause the video or play it slow and kind of follow along. So the last thing I need is a jumper from negative to negative. So I'll do that over here on the side, on the corner, and something like that. Let me zoom in or focus. So you can see from negative up here, down here to negative. So that connects these two together. They're not normally connected. In fact, these power rails actually snap away from this part of the board. They're add-ons to give you some power distribution. So anyway, let me plug it into a different power source real quick so you can see that it lights up. I've got a battery, a large battery pack here that should work. There it goes. And that light is awfully bright. This light here is very bright. So it's working fine. I've got my 12 volts there. I've got plenty of power to the LED. I should have about 12 milliamps or so. We're not going to measure current. I would like to show measuring voltage though. So let me turn on this little voltmeter that I have. And the negative side I'm going to put down here on the ground point. Okay, I'm going to give this a try here. Well, let me move it down. I just don't have enough hands here. So let's measure the power to see what the power is first of all. Oh, it's shut down on me too. Well, golly. It's a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be. Well, I'll have to find another power source for it to finish this up on a second video. But you can see the construction part of it. And I have a feeling what I'm going to have to do with this is I've got, a phone charger. That would be like the best way to go. Just plug that into the wall, plug it back in. I should have continuous power. So let me pause this and I'll go do that. Okay, I wound up plugging it into my laptop, but I've got 5 volts now. I've got USB power. So on this voltage meter, it's like a little probe. It's something I bought some time back. Let me see if I can turn on it's supposed to have there we go, a backlight. So what I did was I got an alligator clip and clipped it to the negative side so I don't have to hold that. And let's check to see what kind of voltage I have from the power supply. 12.2. It's a little high. Let me see if I can dial that down just a little bit. See if it will drop. All right. Let's try to stop around 12. My backlight went out. Okay. So let's check the voltages before it shuts down on me again. This is the LED voltage, 2.5 volts. Okay, this is the voltage on the top of R3. Let me show that again. So I'm checking right here. And I've got 5.67. Now I'm going to check here on R2. That's over here. And I lost my backlight, 8.8. And of course the power is back at 12. So that's all we're trying to do in this first exercise. Put it together, power it up, take some voltage measurements, and that's enough. It's hard for me because I'm juggling the camera and trying to get everything to fit on the screen, but it should be a lot easier for you as you're building this. You have a little more room to work.